We do not fight against blood and flesh, but against superiority, against the authorities, against rulers of the world of darkness, against the elements of spiritual evil at the heights of heaven. To this sentence, the letter to Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. The Jerusalem Bible, published by Palladinum in 2006, gives the following comment. Spirits were mentioned here, which, according to ancient copies, were directed by stars, and thus by the whole universe. They were in the heavens or in the air, between the earth and the place of God's presence. They partly correspond to what Paul calls the elements of the world elsewhere. These spirits were unfaithful to God and wanted to put man in sin. However, Christ came to set us free from their slavery. Armed with this power, Christians can already face them. The sentence you are asking about is located in a broader context of spiritual struggle. Finally, be strong in the Lord by the power of His power. Cover yourself with God's full armor, so that you can resist the invasive temptations of the devil. We do not fight against blood and flesh, but against superiority, against the authorities, against rulers of the world of darkness, against the elements of spiritual evil at the heights of heaven. Therefore, take on God's full armor. And here is an encouragement to spiritual struggle. He says that we do not fight with people, against blood and flesh, but with spiritual forces of evil. These are powerful forces, spirits, but we should not be afraid of them. And then there is an explanation. I think this explanation is from the Jerusalem Bible. The Jewish Bible is the most precise and theological here. So we will not read wider texts, because they are quite long content. And my friend brought me these fragments of this book, also talking about this topic. About the enemies of God above us, i.e., in the space above us. The book is called The Fight of the Saints with the Devil. The book is published by the publishing house that publishes The Exorcist Monthly. Monument Publishing House. It is a collective work, so it is difficult for me to say who is the author of the comment. And I have a quote from this book, page 17. And here is a short comment that I will quote.
Dawniej wierzono, że cała sfera powietrzna stanowi miejsce pobytu duchów niebezpiecznych dla człowieka, a więc demonów lub upadłych aniołów, których ogromna liczba rozproszona jest po całym przezroczystym bezkresie nad naszymi głowami. Unosząc się w powietrzu, mieli oni nieustannie podburzać całe ludzkie społeczeństwa oraz każdego człowieka z osobna. W liście do Efezjan święty Paweł zgodnie z wyobrażeniami panującymi w starożytności
In any case, in this document there is a change of religion.
W każdym razie w tym dokumencie to jest zmiany religijne.
And there was a table, the most original name of the demon, which is very often Hebrew, and the names of the same demon in the languages of other cultures, which was also worshipped there. And I thought it was the only source that gives something like this, that one demon can be worshipped under different names in different countries or cultures. But this is not the only such document, because the second source that says that one demon can be worshipped under different names in different areas is the Apocalypse. Chapter 9, verse 11. And I will read this fragment. They have a king above them, an angel of the forehead. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek his name is Apollyon. And now, in Hindu mythology, which God has identical features with, the Hebrew demon called Abaddon, or the Greek god called Apollyon.
Cechy z hebrajskim demonem nazwanym Abaddon lub greckim bogiem nazwanym Apolion.
Shiva, god of destruction. And now, in this research center, which I read about from Wikipedia,
Ośrodku badawczym, o którym przeczytałem z Wikipedii, to jest
it is a very
bardzo
rare
rzadkie
phenomenon
zjawisko, żeby w
that
ośrodkach
statues of
badawczych
gods are
stawiano
placed
posągi
in
Boga.
research centers. There is a beautiful statue.
Piękny
I mean
posąg
beautiful in
o
artistic
pięknym wymiarze
dimension,
artystycznym, bo
because it
precyzyjnie
is precisely
wyświetlony,
carved,
ładny
beautiful.
posąg
This is Shiva, the angel of destruction.
anioła zniszczenia,
In the city that was dedicated to this angel entirely in
temu
antiquity.
aniołowi było poświęcone w całości w starożytności.
And now, when you look at the advertising materials of CERN, posted on the internet, there is a huge load of occult message.
Reklamowe CERN-u zamieszczane w internecie, jest tam ogromny ładunek przekazu okultystycznego.
Some strange behaviors are shown, which transfer people to other dimensions. And now, what is discovered in CERN? It is currently used by science fiction to create interesting science fiction stories. It is discovered when an elementary particle collides with a huge velocity that breaking these particles causes their part to disappear in an unknown area. What is this unknown area? In these theories, well, not entirely Christian. It is about portals, about passing into another reality. And there, they discovered that it is such an opening. Thanks to these collisions of minimal black holes. And they treat these black holes as a gate to the spiritual demonic reality. And they calculated, from what I found on the internet. Well, you can interpret various sources on the internet, so you could look for this information there. It is from 3 to a dozen or so seconds. They want to check if these gates are intelligent beings and they want to make contact with them. In the city dedicated to the angel of the gap, the apocalypse says that the gap will be opened in the end times. They are trying to open this gap by force. This is the first strange place, which I did not know about when I was giving this lecture. This is the amazing thing. Abaddon in Hebrew, Apollyon in Greek, Shiva in Hindu. 3 names for the same demonic entity of the angel of the gap, the angel of destruction. And now, this place is connected by this powerful computer, which is in Brussels, called Bestial. It is a kind of abbreviation, but I will tell you what it is about. The computer was already built in the 1970s. By the end of the 80s or 90s, it was so advanced that it was possible to transfer data to it with the help of chips, not only all people, but all biological beings on Earth. What is it about? Notice that this chipping of people, which arouses such fear, especially among Christians, because I associate it with the message of the apocalypse, that there will be a beast with us on the forehead and on the hand. This chipping started with animals. Dogs are being chipped. And I think that now, what farmers are very angry about, that every animal must have a passport. And this is one of my farmers, because he lives in the village. In the village parish. Once someone asked him a question in some TV interview. The crew came there, they didn't let it go.
Co tam pan sądzi o tych zmianach rolnictwa teraz przy Unii Europejskiej?
He says, what can I think?
Jeśli człowiek się urodzi, jest miesiąc na jego rejestracji. Jeśli cielak, jest tydzień. Cielak ważniejszy od człowieka.
They didn't let it go on TV. This is what one of my parishioners said. And this is a fact.
Tak prawo to ustawia. Cielaka trzeba zarejestrować w ciągu tygodnia, człowieka w ciągu miesiąca. Nie wiem, czy coś tam się zmieni z czasem pod tym kątem.
In any case, data is being collected about all biological entities. And now, currently, the great dream of computer scientists is the creation of a quantum computer. And this quantum field is the whole of transition to other dimensions to which CERN is trying to reach. And if CERN's work can be combined with the achievements of this computer beast, then, and people will be able to expect it, all the data of people will be in this computer. And through CERN's technical capabilities, they will be able to directly attack demons. And now, with this discovery, extraordinary events, extraordinary stories were associated. When the entire temple complex was excavated, it was in perfect condition. And when it was exposed for the first time, so that people could watch it and admire it, strange things began to happen in Turkey. Anti-Christian moods rose and the Ormia rite was performed. Shortly after showing great interest in this temple in Pergamon. This is the temple of Zeus. Officially, so the archaeology admits. And then what happened? There were fairs between Turkey and Germany, where the complex is supposed to be located, because from the archaeological point of view, the discovery is of great value. The sculptures are in perfect condition, as if not touched, as if they were made literally a week ago. And the Germans began talk trade with Turkey for this find. This is a very large find. This is a set of many sculptures and the main altar of Zeus. According to St. John the Satan, after many fairs, the Pergamon complex was transported to Germany. It was 1932. A year after the transport, Hitler won the election. Hitler, because he was fascinated by esoteric knowledge, and there is a lot of evidence for this, including what books he borrowed. The historians reached his reading cards. So Hitler made sure that this monument was highly respected. The monument was placed in a special Berlin museum. It is still there as a Pergamon temple. You can see this monument in detail, piece by piece, on the website of the Berlin Museum. And now, what is happening in Germany? What strange things? According to St. John the Apostle Satan, Hitler orders to remake the Nuremberg speech hall. So the architects adapt the appearance of the Nuremberg speech hall to these great Nazi massacres in the form of the throne of Satan. And when it is already completed, when it is already remade, Hitler has his magician. The name flew out tone, but he took care of it. Hitler also opens the University of Occultism in Berlin. This is, we remember well, the year 1935. But when in Nuremberg,
W Norymberdze
He already
już
takes a
w tej
voice in this remade speech hall.
przerobionej mównicy
Strange
zabiera
things start to
głos.
happen from the psyche of people
Zaczynają
who
się
receive
dziwne
his
rzeczy
message.
dziać, z psychiką ludzi, którzy odbierają jego przekaz.
This is
To jest
filmed on
sfilmowane
documents.
na dokumentach.
Moments of
Momenty
ecstasy.
ekstaz.
Only the faces of people in these ecstasies. I have been painting portraits since childhood, so for me the face is such an element that I contemplate when I look at a person.
Gdy patrzę na człowieka,
If you look
jeśli się
into these
wpatrzycie w
faces,
te twarze, to wam
it will run under
po
your
plecach
back.
pocieknie.
I would
Ja bym
describe
opisał
these
te
faces
twarze
as
tak,
follows.
to są zbliżenia na
Because
te
there are
twarze
close-ups
ludzi,
of
którzy wpadają w ekstazę
these faces of
w
people
czasie
who fall
przemówień
into
Hitlera
ecstasy
w
during
Norymberdze.
Hitler's speeches in Nuremberg. As if suddenly emptiness entered the human person.
W osobę ludzką weszła pustka.
Normally, in a human
Twarzy,
face, eyes,
wzrok,
mouth,
usta,
everything is
wszystko jest
harmonized.
zharmonizowane.
And there in these faces, and it scared me, and I could not bear this view. As if he took elements of the face from different people and put them together beautifully.
Z różnych ludzi i je bezładnie złożył. Oczy
Terrible
przerażone,
eyes, smiling
usta
mouth.
uśmiechnięte,
Elements
zupełnie
that do not
niepasujące
match
do
each
siebie
other.
elementy. No i
And
jako
as a portraitist,
to mnie
it struck me
tego
very
bardzo
much.
uderzyło. I to
And
się
this is what
dzieje,
happens when Hitler asks to
właśnie Hitler
remake
każe
this speech hall in the form of the
mównicę
throne of
przerobić
Satan,
na wzór tego, jak wygląda tron szatana,
the throne of Zeus,
Zeusa,
from these monuments brought from Turkey,
przywiezionych z Turcji, czyli
i.e.
z
from
Pergamonu.
Pergamon.
Gdy
When the
jest
Olympics are in
olimpiada w
Germany
Niemczech
in
w
1936,
1936 roku,
the Olympic
Komitet
Committee is
Olimpijski
invited
zaproszony jest
to
do
the museum to hold a
muzeum,
pagan worship,
żeby odprawić
because the
pogańskie
Olympic ideal is from
nabożeństwo,
Greece.
ponieważ idea olimpijska jest z Grecji. A do
And to the
kultury
Hellenic
greckiej
culture it
nawiązuje
refers to
to
this find.
znalezisko. I
And they
one
go there
odprawiają
before
tam
the
przed
Olympics in Berlin.
rozpoczęciem olimpiady w Berlinie
Ancient pagan
starożytne
worship.
pogańskie nabożeństwo.
We
Wiemy,
know
co
what
się
is
dzieje.
happening.
Później
Then the
wybucha
war breaks out,
wojna, te
these
wielkie
great
sukcesy.
successes. Hitler loses.
przegrywa, Niemcy
The
są
Germans are
zajęte
occupied
przez
by the
Rosjan.
Russians.
Rosjanie
The
wywożą
Russians
wszystko, co się
export
da.
everything they can.
Fabrykę Zenita,
They export the
w której
Zenith
robią
factory,
praktykę, później
from which they make the whole
i
production
całe
line for
linie
cars and
produkcyjne
so on.
samochodów i tak dalej.
But
Ale
they also
wywożą też
export
zabytki.
monuments.
I
And in
w
1945,
1945 roku wywożą
they export the throne of
tron
Satan to
szatana
Petersburg.
do Petersburga.
The museum
Kompleks
complex is
muzealny
taken over,
jest
if I
przejęty,
remember
jeśli
correctly,
dobrze pamiętam, przez
by the
Rosjan.
Hermitage, and the Russians also treat to make use of this find.
Rosjanie też kombinują z tym znaleziskiem. Na wzór tego tronu
They make
Zeusa
small modifications to
robią
the model
małe przeróbki
of the throne of
mauzoleum.
Zeus in the Lenin Mausoleum.
I co
And what
się
happens
dzieje,
when
gdy
this
ten
complex
kompleks
goes to the
trafia w
Soviet
Związku
Union?
Radzieckiego?
The
Związek
Soviet
Radziecki
Union
rozszerza
expands its
swoje
influence
wpływy
throughout
na całą
Eastern
Europę
Europe.
Wschodnią.
Today we know
Dzisiaj wiemy, że na obszary polityczne mocno
that informal groups.
wpływają grupy nieformalne.
We learned about Soros.
Dowiedzieliśmy się z nazwiska o Sorosu, nie wiemy o wszystkich.
We heard about the Bilderberg Group. So some occult groups, hidden. I'll write it like this: hidden promoter.
Ukryty promotor.
Because at the meetings of the Bilderberg Group and similar ones, the press is invited, and so on. You are not allowed to film or anything. And the hidden promoter is looking for a charismatic person who will be created as the leader of the party. So the leader of the party. The leader of the party. And in fact, the leader decides everything. The party depends on him. And the hidden promoter in this system is often, let's say, some occultist. So here would be the devil, with whom the promoter has his own chess. And here are the politicians.
Są politycy. A na dole społeczeństwo.
Oh, I'm writing a bit unreadably. It's uncomfortable here, but this is how it looks. And now, let me give you one example of the fight for life.
Przykład walki o życie.
The society, the Radio Maria also encouraged to call the politicians and scare the politicians that we will not elect you if you do not take care of the issue of life. But for the politician, it is not the most important individual. That a group of 15 people came to him, who called him or gave him a letter signed. For the politician, the leader is the most important. Why? Because the letter decides his position in the party. And if the leader is supported by a hidden promoter, who says what he needs, because the party often finances the leader, then the devil decides everything. Let's say that a Christian came to the party. A Christian came to the party on the level of politics. And he really cares about the protection of life. But he knows how much he depends on the leader. And this was the year 2016. I will not refer to the names here, because it is about capturing the essence of the phenomenon. But I was looking for a politician who is very believing. And I observed how he behaved on October 6, 2016, when there was the first fight for life. So between 7:30 and 8 o'clock a.m., one of the journalists reached the politician, who has a very believing opinion, and asked how he would vote. Of course, he, as a Christian Catholic, said that he would absolutely defend life. There is no other option. This was guided by his conscience. Later at 10 o'clock a.m., the leader held a party meeting. And the effect of this meeting was that this politician, who between 7:00 and 8 o'clock a.m. promised that he would defend life, voted for abortion. What to do? Exactly. Where to hit? Prayer for the conversion of the leader and politicians. Cutting off from the hidden promoter. But this is only possible when conscience decides that eternal salvation is more important than temporary benefits. And that's why, when the solitary announcement of the Mother of God always asks for a prayer of our so-called head, and the Church from antiquity prayed for the leaders, although not all of them were Christians, because the point was that these people up here, still in this visible area, to convert and cut off completely. Cut off completely. Here. And now, if Christ stands here, then everything will start to return to its place. Because, as St. Augustine said, when God is in the first place, everything is in the right place. And now, the prayer of Jericho. The rosary, first of all for the politicians and also for the priests, to have the courage to testify, because these are not easy times. Testimony can cost a lot. And an example? We know a lot about Karl Marx. I said a lot in the previous lecture. I know that this first communism was very watched by involved occultists, and we experienced it physically. The year 1920. And what happened in 1920?
W 20 roku
According to this
tej
book,
książki
I highly recommend it.
polecam.
I think every Polshood read this book.
Powinien tę książkę przeczytać.
It is like
To
this.
jest tak.
For
Ksiądz
Dr. Joseph Maria Bartnik
i Ewa
and J.P. Starosiska, the Mother of God is merciful,
Matka Boża łaskawa, a cudowna
and the miracle of the Vistula. And now, according to the memories,
według wspomnień
the whole society, not only in Warsaw, but also in the whole Poland, when this threat was raging,
pęczniało, ale szczególnie w Warszawie.
the church of the Vistula ran to the church, and there was a very intense prayer. And what happened? This is the structure of the state.
Struktura państwa,
A very young and powerful threat from the outside,
potężne zagrożenie z zewnątrz.
practically militarily. We had no reason to win.
Zwyciężyć.
And what is the reason for this prayer? The reason is that the Mother of God appears
Matka Boża
twice,
dwukrotnie, raz
once near Rajiman and once in the vicinity of Warsaw. And it makes such a strong procession on the Bolsheviks that they not only run away, but when they come to the village, there is an empty hut. It is such a terror.
To jest takie przerażenie. I
And this powerful prayer causes a huge change in history.
powoduje to ogromną zmianę w historii. Bo
Because we would lose independence practically after 2 years, almost. And now, we need to build the community.
Trzeba odbudować wspólnotę, czyli
To convert these people
nawracać
from the other
drugą
side,
stronę,
to pray for
jak
them,
to tylko możliwe, pościć za nich, modlić się i
to bless
błogosławić,
them, to
zachęcać.
encourage them.
Walka tutaj
We need to
to
convert
nas
these people.
spala. Trzeba nawracać tych ludzi, ile się da. Tak
This is
ojciec
what priest
Ks
Popiełuszko did.
robił.
Convert,
Nawracać, a
and then
później
pray for
modlić
God's
się
care and
o
intervention.
Bożą opiekę i boskie interwencje. I
And
teraz
now, some people told me that
niektórzy
they
opowiadają,
watched
że
an interview
oglądali
with Priest Bloss,
wywiad z księdzem Glassem,
an exorcist.
egzorcystą. Nie
I also
tylko
watched
oglądali
one of the documents.
dokumentów. I
And
to,
what
co
struck
mnie
me in this
uderzyło w tej
interview,
relacji. On
he said
powiedział,
that
że
when
gdy
there
była
was a national
narodowa
prayer,
pokuta,
it was in
to
1916,
było 16 rok? 16.
because it was the
Była
first big
pierwsza
action.
duża akcja, później
Then there was a
uwolnienie
rosary,
granic.
liberation and purification. And he got into a phone conversation with one of the mystics who currently lives. He has the care of the church, the assistance of the bishop. And this person did not betray her name. She is a hidden person. This document can be looked at. And he says that when the national prayer began in 1916, this mystic saw a huge number of souls going down to Czystochowa and entering heaven. And he said that all these souls, through the prayer of the liberation of Czystochowa, they stood behind us in this fight. So we have these miracles described, and these are acts of the Son of God's creative activity. This is a moment of God, it does not matter. And now, in the interpretation of Mr. Janusz, these cultures are mentioned. And based on what these cultures are mentioned, often in these dates it is based on pagan religious books. However, these books are often written under the influence of the demonic. And it is demons that suggest such a translation. And now, how demons can distort specific historical facts. I will give an example of a topic related to UFOs and demons. You can join such a trip, an amazing adventure. I saw on such a site. I also highly recommend it. Just write on YouTube and there's some of these documents of this group are translated into Polish.
Megalitomanii są tłumaczone na język polski.
So he mentions here the fowls of the
UFOs and
verse
demons,
4, and then
UFOs
when he
and
gives
demons,
the
UFOs.
definition of what
And
these
demons,
fowls are,
UFOs and demons,
he's
UFOs
telling you
and
they're
demons.
spirits. Anything with wings in the Bible is going to be indicative of an angelic being. In Ezekiel 1 and Ezekiel 10, these cherubs have wings. We know the dragon has them because he is referred to as the flying fiery serpent. The early Mexicans, who was it? The Aztecs? They had a name for that, called it Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. The fiery
UFOs
flying
and
serpent
demons,
is who
Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl was. Quetzalcoatl was an alien god to the Aztecs. He was a god to them that did not come from their land of nativity. He comes from a different realm. He is of another species, another nation, different type of body. And what you see here
Daniel 7.
in Daniel 7, these living creatures, these beasts, this was a lion, had eagle's wings. This is a leopard that had 4 wings like the beast of a fowl and also had 4 heads. He's telling you that they're from the 4th dimension, fourth direction, the spiritual realm. Then we have the 4th beast, dreadful and terrible. And he's not like any of the other beasts that came before him. He was diverse from them, different nature, different character.
Fourth kingdom.
The 4th kingdom. Since we're dealing with the 4th dimension, where does the 4th kingdom come from? Where does it originate? Does it come out of the European Union? Does it come out of the revived Roman Empire? No. The Bible didn't say anything about that. What it's telling you is that this 4th kingdom
Fourth kingdom.
comes from the land of principalities and powers and the land of the rulers of the darkness of this world and the spiritual wickedness in high places. That's your 4th kingdom. And that's where these celestial life forms are from. And you're also getting now a clue as to what their goal is. What is their agenda? What is the alien? And again, I'm using the word alien as described and defined by the Bible.
Alien.
The alien agenda. Alien agenda is what the 4th kingdom is determined to do on this earth. Look, here's part of it right here. For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces, bruise. Do you remember what God said about
the seed of the serpent, and the seed of the woman? He told the serpent, the seed of the woman shall bruise thy head, and that without what? Bruise his heel.
Same word here.
The iron kingdom breaks in pieces.
The iron kingdom breaks in pieces,
subdues, conquers. Is there an alien? Let's not try to rely upon science fiction stories and National Enquirer articles and History Channel hyped up television series.
History Channel hyped up television series.
Let's not rely on that. Let's think Bible. And according to the Bible, there is an alien agenda. An agenda. Celestial life forms. Their agenda is to subdue and conquer the entire earth. Now we can bring in science fiction movies. The Day the Earth Stood Still. The TV series. Other movies where the aliens come down and they're going to take over the world. Independence Day. We don't get our ideas from theme movies and from science fiction.
From the movies and from science fiction.
We get them from the Bible and then we turn around and look. They made a movie about that. Anyway, the Bible specifically says that he sees horses and these chariots, and he asks what they are, and the angel says, these are spirits. So the Bible is telling you what these things are. They are life forms that are alien to this world. They are not from this world. And men have been either seeing these in visions or seeing them with their eyes and drawing them. Now our enlightened, educated minds look back at that and say, that's just the fanciful imaginations of these ancient cults. I don't think so. Look here, artwork. There's a ship here. There's one here. Here's Moses in the Ten Commandments, and you see these here. See that? For some reason, this wheel within a wheel is shining a light down through this wall and into this room.
Is shining a light down through this wall and into this room.
I have no idea what that could be. Here's my favorite. Here's a painting of the Virgin Mary. And in the background is a brightly illuminated flying disc, wheel-shaped object. And this guy here is looking at it. Where did that come from? Men have been seeing these things for years. What is the explanation for them? They are chariots. A nation. The Bible describes as an alien race. That God is going to send us a form of judgment. Upon this earth. Listen, I'm going to say it like this. There is going to be an alien invasion. There, I said it. Do I really believe that? Yes. What I know is what the Bible says, and you take it very, very serious. Deuteronomy 28:49.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth.
See the phrase, as swift as the eagle flieth. What does that denote according to the Bible? These are spirits. A nation from far. From the end of the earth as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance all over the world.
All over the world.
Why? Because God has given them a fierce countenance. There are spirits. That God has given them a fierce countenance, and that's what this nation is. Believe it or not. Whether I use the language of these are evil spirits. These are devils, and God's going to release them in this earth to do very. If I say it that way, you might receive it better. But if I say these are fourth-dimensional, alien life forms that will come with their chariots and conquer the earth, then I'm a weirdo. But essentially, that's what it is. We're talking about fourth kingdom and how God is going to send them to this earth to conquer over this earth. Yes, there is going to be an alien invasion, and it will not be pretty. Verse
Verse
12.
12, and
And
the
the
sixth
sixth
angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was
dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, out of the mouth of the false prophet, for they are the spirits of devils, working miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth, and the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. It's the reptilians that are going to gather everybody in the earth to the valley of Megiddo, Armageddon, to fight.
Everybody in the earth to the valley of Megiddo, Armageddon, to fight
Jesus.
Jesus.
It's the reptilians that do
the
that.
reptilians that do that.
These devils, these spirits, were in the shape of frogs. What did God invade Egypt with?
Frogs. What did God invade Egypt with?
Frogs.
Frogs.
Verse 13. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the earth might be prepared.
What's going to happen?
Something wonderful.
What?
I understand how you feel. You see, it's all very clear to me now. The whole thing. It's wonderful.
What's going to happen?
Wyraźnie, najbardziej w trzecią tajemnicę fatimską uwierzyła masoneria i islam. Najbardziej w tym sensie, że oni zrobili wszystko, żeby ona się wypełniła i żeby ją przyspieszyć.
And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs, out of the mouth of the false prophet, for they are the spirits of devils and the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of God, Armageddon, to fight. Verse 14, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the earth might be prepared.
Że w momencie, kiedy pojawiła się, kiedy została ujawniona wizja,
And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs, out of the mouth of the false prophet, for they are the spirits of devils.
Uznali, że po pierwsze, w 1917 roku w Fatimie objawiła się Fatima, a nie Matka Boża, czyli córka Mahometa, prorokini islamu.
And the whole world to gather Armageddon to fight.
Katolicy to wszystko sfałszowali. I te wszystkie gadki katolików to są kłamstwa.
And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs, out of the mouth of the false prophet, for they are the spirits of devils and the whole world to gather to the battle of that great day of God, Armageddon, to fight. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs, out of the mouth of the false prophet, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the earth. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs, out of the mouth of the false prophet, for they are the spirits of devils too, the battle of that great day of God. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the earth. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs out of the mouth of the false prophet, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the earth. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs, out of the mouth of the false prophet, and the water thereof was dried up, that way of the kings of the earth. And these are not the sacrifices of the martyrs, because we do not pray for the martyrs. I mean, we can ask the martyrs to pray for us. We can ask the martyrs to pray for us because they are already saints. So these are the sacrifices of some cataclysm. And when he goes to this meeting, he goes alone, and those behind him, all those hierarchs and those priests, go on their own. And he experiences some change along the way, some despair, some outbursts of conscience. It is interesting that the vision describes the state of his inner state, and he comes to the cross and suddenly he kneels, and these soldiers get mad because it was supposed to be something completely different, and they kill him in this hall. And the others repeat. Those people who died there die as martyrs. They came to get along and they die as martyrs. The action changed at the last moment. But Islam is indifferent to him what happened on the Catholic side. They see one thing: they murdered the whole Vatican. The United States and Europe burned down to a considerable extent. They were weakened at least. And Mahdi comes. Mahdi is someone very important in Islam, who will come at the end of time with a bow, and when all the arrows will be shot, he will come with a bow and no arrows, because there will be no peace in the world, because there will be no one left. because Ratzinger says it clearly in his theological opinion.
Teologicznej wyraźnie mówi, prawda?
First of all,
Po
this is symbolic, so it is a matter of interpretation.
kwestia interpretacji.
And Mahdi
przychodzi
comes.
Mahdi.
Mahdi is someone very important in Islam,
Ktoś w islamie
who will come at the end of time with a bow.
czasu, z łukiem.
And when all the arrows will be shot, he will come with a bow and no arrows, because there will be no peace in the world.
Na świecie, bo już nie będzie nikogo.
We need to understand this is spiritual warfare. Satan hates who? Well, Satan hates all believers. But there's a certain group that he hates more, the one that's connected with Israel. The one that understands that they're spiritually Israel, and especially Jews in Israel, Israelis, that believe that Yeshua is the Messiah and are preaching the truth. This is making the dragon enraged. This is what Revelation chapter 12, verse 17 is speaking about. And the dragon was enraged with the woman and went off to make war with the rest of her offspring, who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yeshua. Now, of course, the word commandments there is an inaccurate translation. It is the word Torah. Torah is God's instruction, so it should be saying who keep the Torah of God and have the testimony of Yeshua, it says. So it's very important to realize that the dragon is enraged, and there's never been a generation closer to the coming of Yeshua HaMashiach than this generation. The gospel is being preached in Israel. Souls are being saved, and the Orthodox movement is scared. If Yeshua was not the Messiah, they wouldn't go to all this trouble to persecute us and to threaten us. This is not the first time that Rabbi Weinberg and other rabbis connected with Yad Lachim, the anti-missionary organization in Israel, founded to deprogram believers, has attacked us. We as believers in Yeshua are asking you as a family, as the one new man, to stand with us in prayer for the salvation of Rabbi Weinberg and other rabbis in Israel and other Jews who are scared of the truth.
פתחתם חשבון עם כל יהודי ויהודי, אז נגד כולם פתחתם חזית. הדלקתם אש לא קטנה, לכבות אותה? אי אפשר. אם הם ימשיכו לעשות את זה, הם יעוררו תגובות שהם לא מדמיינים לעצמם. אין סוף לעונה של מי שמטה, מי שמסית ומדיח, עונשו של כל אחד ואחד, כמו שאותו יימח שמו, אותו אחד מייסד הנצרות, אותו אחד מה שקורה איתו למעלה עכשיו מות הגמרא בגיטים ומזל נאמר שם הגמרא, דנים אותו בצואה רותחת, חבילה של צואה, של פסולת שיוצאת מהקיבה של בני האדם, וחתולים וכלבים ואריות ונמרים, רותחת, מבעבעת, שם שמים אותו, שם הוא נענש כרתו רגע גרעינה. זה קרה, את זה לא הבאתם, כל הכנסיות, כל הצלבים שלהם, הצלב הגדול הזה על הארון בברזיל, מתפוצץ לבסיסים, לכל העולם, וכולם יראו את זה, כולם יראו את זה. ולהוציא את השקר של כולם החוצה, את השקר של הנצרות הזאת החוצה, שבשם כביכול בורא עולם, בשם כביכול יש לו כתפיים רחבות, הוא לוקח את העוונות של כולם, את העוונות של כולם הוא ייקח, שום דבר, כולכם תהיו נקיים, כולכם תבואו לשתף של גן עדן. איזה שטויות, כמה דפר בן אדם יכול להיות, כמה סתום בלום, כמה דביל ומפגר, אין מילים אחרות, בן אדם יכול להיות בשביל להאמין לשטות המפגרת.
As you can see in the video, Rabbi Weinberg is very, very upset, but you also can see that he knows that Yeshua died on the cross for our sins and rose after 3 days, because he's mentioning the gospel. He knows the gospel. He's heard the gospel. So we're just praying that one day God will visit him in dreams and visions, and we're having many of these rabbis come to faith. So the fact that the dragon is enraged is because many Jews are being saved, the gospel is going back to Jerusalem, and we thank you, brothers and sisters, for standing with us and being a part of the revival here in Israel. It's very important that we stand firm to the end, that we don't be ashamed of the gospel, that we're not afraid of persecution. This is what Revelation is speaking about, Revelation 14:12. This calls for patience and endurance on the part of the people of God who keep his commandments, who keep his Torah, and remain faithful to Yeshua. So we will not stop until the end. We're going to run the race to the end, become a victorious bride, and stand together as the one new man. Please continue to stand with us in prayer for these Jews and other Jews that are really scared of the truth as the veil is being lifted. I'm Messianic Rabbi Zev Porat, sending you blessings from Israel in the name of Yeshua. Shalom.
Partner with us at Messiah of Israel Ministries, sharing the love of Yeshua in Israel. For we are not ashamed of the gospel of Yeshua HaMashiach. Hallelujah.